watch their sister. Yeah. Jimena and Luke are together. They're over there. I'm not sure how much it is. Go, if you go over there, can you tell me how much on the left, yeah.
Hey everybody, my name is Matt Szot, a former Stanford gymnast, joined by my buddy Collin here. And welcome to Burnham Pavilion, home of the Stanford Cardinal, where we'll get to see some high-flying gymnastics between the home team Stanford Cardinal and the friendly foe across the bay, California Golden Bears. So as I said,
Hi
I'm here.
everyone. Oh yeah. Hey everyone. I'm Collin. I'm a recent grad from Cal Men's Gymnastics, the friendly foe across the bay, as Matt said. And I'm joined tonight by Matt Szot here, also a former gymnast from Stanford. Um, Looking for a good competition tonight. Uh, yeah.
Yeah, and the Stanford team is led by head coach Tom Galimi and a couple newer coaches, Ruben Lopez Martinez, Mitchell Sukup, and Carlos Hernandez Ojeda. And Stanford's averages, as you can see in the bottom left corner, so their average this year is a 324.60, with their high being a 328.85. So looking to challenge that score tonight, as you know, some of the heavy hitters are in tonight's lineup.
Yeah, and moving over to Cal, led by newly named interim head coach Brian Del Castillo, former co-head coach with JT Okada. And then we've got Carl Zeen, who actually is a former Stanford assistant coach, but before that he was a Cal gymnast himself. So some good history with these two coaches, and we'll see how they do without JT in there. And for the averages for Cal this year, we're looking at a 310.567 and then a high of 314.3. So looking to boost that average going into the postseason very shortly here. Yeah, and it looks like we're just on the one-touch warm-up right now. Stanford starting off on the floor exercise and Cal over on the pommel horse. Um, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. It should be a good battle today. I think, one matchup to watch out for is Aiden Lee, as you can see on pommel horse right now, warming up. He's going to be battling some of the Stanford guys for that top spot, namely Coy Young. He's just entered the lineup as of last weekend and made an immediate impact, scoring, I believe it was a 14-9. So looking to see a good battle on pommel horse, and we've got Stanford Cardinal starting on floor.
Yeah, and over on floor, as you'll see, Asher Hong is in the lineup today. He's always got an exciting routine for us. And also Taylor Burkhart. Both those guys pack a lot of power, and it seems like their gymnastics has really just taken to this new code so well.
Yep, so it looks like Asher and Taylor are both going to be doing the all-around tonight. Most likely gearing up for NCAA championships here in a couple weeks. But Collin, you mentioned the new code. There's a couple, important changes to be aware of ahead of tonight's competition. I think, namely, 8 skill routines. So a lot of these routines will be a little bit shorter than last year when the standard was 10 skills per routine.
Yeah, that's a good point. And then we've got just some format things too with the 4 up 4 count, which puts a lot of pressure on the guys to hit their routines because, one fall can make a big impact on the team's overall score. And another thing too that I'm just now thinking of is, there used to be a 2-minute touch per event, and now it's 4 minutes, which I feel like that's a great change, implementing a little more warm-up time for these guys to get back on, especially later in the meet when you haven't touched that event for maybe 2 hours. You're cold at that point. So
Yeah, definitely. That'll help on parallel bars too, trying to get the equipment adjusted in a timely manner. It looks like first up on floor, we've got Cooper Kim, freshman here at Stanford, making an immediate impact. He's been in the lineup pretty consistently this year, which you don't see too often with a lot of freshmen at Stanford. But definitely getting a hold of that training regimen pretty early on. Starting off with some high flying tumbling there. going into his flare sequence.
Yeah, I think one thing to notice about his gymnastics immediately is he is so polished in his performance. He just looks like a veteran coming in as a freshman with his lines and his consistency really throughout the year.
Yeah, that's super important, trying to crack those lineups, so every 10th matters. He's looking a little bit hoppy on some of these landings, and it is later in the season, so those sticks are gonna mean that much more. So gotta lock those down. Hopefully he gets a stick here coming up on his dismount.
Yep.
Little
A little bit
under
under-rotated. Yeah, but happy to keep everything on his feet there. Good hit for him. Nice start for Stanford over on floor. And then now we're looking over on pommel horse at Tucker Yasunaga, sophomore here. This guy's got a lot of grit. You'll see his fingers taped up there. About 2 weeks ago, he fully dislocated one of his fingers on parallel bars. And I got the opportunity to go to practice on Monday, and he was back doing that same skill that he almost broke his finger on, which was just really shows how tough these athletes are and how much they really want it. And you can see he's put in the work here, breaking into the pommel lineup.
Yeah, that finger doesn't look to be too much of a problem as he gets through pretty cleanly, and that was a really solid start for the Bears on horse.
Yeah, he swung great. Got that dismount up to handstand. Another great start.
Yep, and that's what you want, especially out of that first guy on pommel horse. It's so easy to fall in that event, and it can really derail a meet for a team. And so making sure that first guy is hitting, even if it's not the highest start value, even if there are a few form breaks, the name of the game on horse is stay on, and that's exactly what he did. So a solid start.
Yeah, definitely don't want to start with a fall on an event like pommel. The energy really builds on an event that requires so much focus and precision.
Yeah, speaking of energy, we've got Taylor Burkhart here on floor. Arguably one of his best events. He's a solid all-arounder and one of those graduating seniors this year. And starts with a huge laid-out double-double. So 2 twists and 2 flips in the layout position.
Yeah, it looks really solid on that.
Yep, a nice stick
Wow.
there.
That's a big pass. That was a double full, double front, and that'll earn, I believe, 2/10 of connection bonus there.
Going into his flares. This is what he's known for. You'll see him on pommel horse next rotation having a very similar look. That's his bread and butter there. So glad to see he's able to perform that well. Right into the wide arm press. And I was fortunate enough to be one of Taylor's teammates when he was a freshman and sophomore. And, he brings a lot of great gymnastics to the team, but, just as much inside the gym, at practice, and really helping build that energy. He's going to be sorely missed when he graduates here, but let's see if he gets and a stuck double-double. Solid finish
Well
for the captain.
Yeah, I just always remembered competing against you guys over there at Stanford, and Taylor was always probably the loudest one in there.
Yep, he's always
and
bringing
now we're
in
looking at now we're looking at Harry Kim here. He's a newer guy to the lineup on pommel. He's got a great swing though, good line, very clean. Looks like he's swinging well, keeping those hips open. Got some good speed going through these travels into the Szot. Got caught up there. He's gonna put those numbers in on that one. I know he is.
Yeah, those Szot are always tricky because oftentimes you'll see a gymnast end up having to do that at the end of the routine. And once you get a little bit tired and sag those hips a little bit, you can clip your legs on the horse and have to get off. But it looks like a solid finish.
Good finish
there.
though. Yeah. Yeah, I want that one back for sure, especially second to last skill. Looking at the scores here, we got Cooper Kim's 12.95 to start from a 5.0 start value. So those hops really did kind of that.
Yeah, definitely was able to take a lot on those landings. Cooper want to clean that up in the next couple weeks, but once conference championships and NCAA championships roll around, the difference between an All-American and somebody not making the podium is going to be those stuck landings. And so Stanford, hopefully, Taylor is able to bring it back with a couple more sticks, and hopefully Asher is able to keep the momentum going here. But I'm sure most people watching have heard of Asher Hong before, but just to give a little bit of an overview, he's we went to the Paris Olympics in 2024, one of the best gymnasts, not only in NCAA but the United States. Starts out with a big connection pass there, a little bit low on the landing. Another big double flipping connection.
Yeah, the thing with the 8-skill routines, it's a good change for guys who can do those big connections because your routine is so efficient. You can get through 4 skills. That's half your routine within the first 2 passes.
Exactly.
Wow.
It's like a little tumble there on the layout double-double. Gonna want that back, but able to recover a little bit here on the non-acro.
Yeah, putting that very late in the routine, which is, I'm sure, an upgrade for him. So he'll work those kinks out with practice and just experience with that.
Yeah, and this is a very difficult routine, but that's really going to help a gymnast like Asher with these 8 skills being able to pack as much difficulty as possible in, and not quite the landing he wants there at the end.
Yeah.
Looks like he's a little bit off on that double layout, but hopefully he's looking to bounce back. He's got 5 more events after this, so.
Looking now to Tyler Shimizu, senior on the Cal team. He's been a stellar performer on the pommel horse for Cal throughout all 4 of his years. He's been plagued with a couple injuries to his wrists and his ankle earlier this year, actually. But not today. He's looking pretty good. Starting off with a scissor handstand, straight to an E-flop. Nice one-handle work here. Keeping up a good rhythm. Great travel work from him. Making it through. See if he can get that to the handstand. Well done.
That's a great routine.
Really
right
great routine. Yeah.
And that's exactly what
He's
Cal
gonna be happy
wants.
with that.
Following a routine that did have a fall, being able to be that next guy up and stop the bleeding is super important for a horse run. And, I think that's what, with Tyler, that's a little experience right there. A lot of times those juniors and seniors are really going to have to step up, especially after a fall, and that's exactly what he just did.
Yeah, and you want to have a good lead up to a guy like Aiden Lee. Although I don't think anything phases that guy. He could probably fall asleep before he starts his pommel routine and still get up and hit it.
Yeah, and he's been incredibly consistent this entire year. I don't know if he's even fallen once this year, but that's exactly what you want out of your pommel specialist. That's the only event that he does, and if that's going to be the only event that you do on a team, you better make sure that it's good, and that's what he does. So he should be coming up next. But for now, we've got Jeremy Bischoff on floor after Asher Hong's 11-6. So Jeremy's, he's a 5th year on the team. Like I said, has that veteran experience, and so looking to stop the bleeding after a couple falls on the previous routine. And a good start
Clean
there.
Start. Yeah.
Another solid
A little hop
pass.
back there, yeah.
Little hop, but Jeremy is also a former national team member, compete at the Olympic trials back in 2024, has a lot of experience, including some international, and definitely a solid presence for the Stanford team, brings that veteran experience and being able to hit routine after routine.
Yeah, he has been a very consistent performer, especially on floor and high bar uh, for the Stanford team throughout his time. Hitting him with a little Y scale. I think the whole team does Y scales, which in my opinion is a much more professional look than the traditional scale. Nice double pike to finish, little hop backwards, but a great hit from Jeremy.
Yeah, exactly what you
And
needed.
then,
But here's Aiden Lee from
yeah.
Cal. Hopefully, potentially the routine of the entire competition. So let's see how he does.
Yep. And Aiden Lee is a 5th year this year. He is actually a member of my class. He's doing a 1-year master's program in mechanical engineering. So he's a smart one. Nice one handle work there, right through to the zone. And
what really
a unique.
sets Aiden. Yeah, sorry. Go ahead,
Go ahead.
Tom.
Oh no, you're good.
Something that sets Aiden apart from a lot of pommel horse guys is he really has that hip extension, and it looks like a long, slow circle. That's exactly what the judges are looking for, and it's really hard to take deduction off when you have that hip extension. And he's able to get through the end of the routine there. A little muscle, but he stayed on, and that's all you can ask for.
Yeah, he was hoping for that extra pirouette there at the end, but had to settle for the lower value dismount, which is critical in this code where the value of your dismount determines how much you get for that element group.
Yep, so you'll see a lot of high flying dismounts, a lot of triple backs on high bar and rings, a lot of extra pirouettes on pommel horse. They're really looking to get as much out of that dismount, especially with the 8 skill routines. I think the thought process there is, they have a little bit of juice left in the tank from not doing those 10 skill routines. And so, throw those larger dismounts. But here on the screen, we've got scores from the first rotation. Still waiting on Aiden's score. But it looks like Stanford's coming in with a 52.35, led by Taylor's 14.2. That's gonna be a tough score to beat in the first rotation. But Stanford probably hoping to be a little bit higher on that, have a little bit stronger start. Asher's gonna want to clean up those falls, and I think the team is a little bit hoppy. But first one out of the way, got 5 more, where Stanford will head to the pommel horse and Cal going to floor.
And it looks like Aiden Lee's score came back as a 13.75, which was the best mark of Cal's pommel lineup. And we'll have to see what Coy has to say about that score in this upcoming rotation. A routine I think to really look out for in this Cal floor lineup is Collin Curry. He's just always got a lot of power and great landings as well.
Yeah, to be honest, I thought Aiden's 13.75 on horse. I thought that could have, been a little bit higher, but it looks like the judges are pretty tight in their judging. I'd imagine on his dismount, they probably took a lot for muscling a little bit, having a little bit of an arch position in the handstand. But needless to say, he stayed on, and I think he's going to be a contender in a few weeks at NCAAs. But pommel horse is going to be an absolute battle. You've got Coy, you've got Aiden Lee, got Parker Thaxton from Ohio State, Ignacio from Oklahoma. So it's going to be really tough, and it's going to come down to those 1 or 2 tenth differences.
Yeah, pommel horse in the U.S. has really come such a long way from where we were. Now there's just too much talent. We don't even know what to do with it anymore. We just had those 2 college gymnasts out in Baku World Cup come 1 and 2, Brandon Dang and Patrick Hoops from Illinois and Air Force, which that's huge for the U.S. team.
Yeah, the U.S. was able to turn it into, far and away their weakest event into potentially their strongest event. I know Steve Nedorosik, fresh off of an Olympic bronze medal as well in Paris, and so I think there's a lot of momentum on that event. and the U.S. has really gained a lot of ground compared to those other countries like Russia, China, Japan. So good to hear that, and hopefully that trend continues. And it definitely looks like it, considering the talent in NCAA.
Couldn't agree more. Looks like we're gearing up here for the start. Looks like Carter Kim here is going to get us started off on floor for Cal. He's a sophomore on the team. One of the hardest workers on the team. See what he's got for us. A nice clean double front. Little hop on the landing. Interesting that he does a punch front tuck there. Usually you'll see guys do a layout, but maybe he's just playing it a little safe. A nice stuck landing down the side. There's the layout. Opting for that out of the 2.5.
Yeah, and this is exactly what you want out of a leadoff guy on floor as well. He's very clean in the air, so it's hard for the judges to take deduction, especially in those twisting motions. And then also he's limiting those landing deductions as well, whether it be a stick or limiting it to just 1/10 deduction, and that's going to bode well in his score. And let's see if he can finish off strong. Just a small hop there on the dismount, but otherwise great leadoff spot for Cal.
Yeah, I know with these double flipping dismounts, thinking back on my time in gymnastics, I would have had the hardest time finishing with the double pike, or like you saw Carter do a tuck half an F out. I just wouldn't have the energy for it.
That's a tough way to finish a routine for sure, but these guys are doing well so far. Looks like we've got Ian Lasik-Ellis on horse. One of the seniors going into the Buznari right there, looking really solid. And Ian's come a long way on pommel horse. It's probably not the event you would expect him to be best at, or have one of his better routines be, especially given his body type. He's looks like he's off there, little off axis, working on that travel, so he's probably going to have to repeat that. I would be surprised if he got credit.
Yeah, it does look like they were giving Tom, head coach over there, the no credit signal. But yeah, back to Ian's body type. He, in person, is an absolutely massive dude. And for him to swing this well, and he looks so in control on this event, which I think is, in this case, a really good thing. It's a good look for him. It's pretty impressive that he swings the way he does.
Yeah, it really is. And, one of Ian's strengths, you didn't see it today, but his consistency is really solid, which is probably one of the reasons he was put up first on horse. It was had an uncharacteristic fall, but, hoping to clean things up ahead of postseason.
Looking now at Kalen Curry on floor. High energy guy, high flying, skilled from that layout half and half out. Very nicely done, double front. And I think this is a really unique side pass, doing the whip to 2.5. A little overcooked there, but brought it back under control nicely. Kalen's been such a leader in the Cal Athletics community. He's been part of the Student Athlete Advisory Committee, and I know he wouldn't want me to say this, but he very well could be the president of that organization next year. So big things for Kalen as he goes into his Y skill there. Gearing up for a big dismount. Typically does a double layout. Nicely done.
Really solid routine there. Cal looks to really be honing in on their sticks, getting closer and closer to postseason, and that's going to make a huge difference, potentially like a 2 to 3 point swing in the team score. So glad to see that they're really focusing on that. But here we have Taylor Burkhart in his second event on pommel horse, and a very unique routine here. He'll stay mostly in the flared position, adding a lot to his difficulty, and definitely a crowd pleaser. Going into the flared
he's
side
always
travel.
got great expansion.
Yep. And that skill right there is actually named after him, the Burkhart. Competed that internationally, so his name is in the official code of points, which is pretty cool. I believe they gave it an E or an F, one of the two. But finishes strong there. Really solid meet so far for Taylor. It's going to be hard to take a lot of deduction there. Had a couple moments of muscling it through, but hey, stayed on, kept it clean, and that should score very well. Way to get it back for the Stanford Cardinal.
Yeah, definitely. Big celebration from him, which, gets the team energy going. Looks like we got Theo coming up. This guy is a powerhouse. He's one of those, he looks like a tank when you see him coming. And in the gym, he's just such a hard worker. He puts his time in conditioning, and you see it pay off on things like floor, rings, where you really need that power, and vault as well.
Yeah, and Theo brings that international presence. He's from Europe, and bringing that over. I think they have a little bit different style of gymnastics compared to the Americans, and I think that's a good thing, and he brings a lot of difficulty and a lot of consistency to the Cal lineup. So hoping to see him do a couple events here today. And yeah, let's see what he's got.
Yeah, this is only Theo's third time doing floor this season. He had a foot injury that took him out for a little while. So we'll see if he can get it done here. Nice randy side pass, which you don't see very frequently. Straight through to the double pike. Something to note is that all these front tumbling passes are lighter generally on the foot. So it seems like he's playing it smart with his routine construction to keep that load off of that injury.
Yeah, the downside though to that, I think front landings can generally be a little bit trickier to stick. Theo's doing well so far, but it's a trade-off. It might be a little bit lighter on the body, but in terms of execution, you definitely have to dig a little deeper just to find that stick.
Good connection. Gearing up for his dismount. All right, a little bit of chest down, got a little squirrely, but honed it back in for a nice routine.
Yeah, Cal starting off really strong on floor, really nipping at Stanford's heels here as Stanford continues to struggle a little bit. Muscly there on the scissor hand for Asher.
Yeah, that looked like it was almost an impossible save.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if he gets credit for that. On the scissor hand, the judges are typically very strict on not showing any sort of muscle. It should be a swinging skill to the handstand position. So they could potentially really hammer that, and so it'll be interesting to see what they do. And that was a fight for Mr. Asher Hong.
All right.
Staying on, had a couple muscles there. Could have easily fallen off, but I think that shows a lot of his competitiveness and his international experience, fighting for every 10th, even though it's probably he's not feeling the best, especially towards the end there. So glad to see he stayed on. Could see a lot of deduction, but hey, we'll take it at this point.
Yeah, definitely. Some of those saves there. I don't think anyone else in the world would have saved them, but Asher's got some superhuman strength on his side. You'll see that coming up next rotation.
Yeah, definitely. Asher's one of those gymnasts where it's going to be really tough to bring him off the equipment. I remember there's this one routine that he did at World Championships a couple years ago. He was doing a release move on high bar, I believe it was a Coleman, and he caught the high bar not with his hands, but with the strap of his grips, and somehow managed to stay on the bar. And so that's a testament to just his pure willingness to really fight and stay on the equipment and eliminate that potential 1-point deduction.
I remember that. That was pretty crazy to see. Looks like we're on to floor with Matteo Bardana. He is a Canadian international on the Cal team. He's a freshman, but man, he's been putting in the work for the team and performing well. Nice stick down the side.
Yeah, Matteo's really been a frequent spot in the Cal lineup, and as a freshman, I think that's super impressive to see, especially after Cal lost a lot of guys due to graduation the last couple of years, and so seeing that young presence in the lineup is gonna set them up for success for the next couple of years for sure.
Yeah, I agree. Cal's team is definitely on the younger side now, and they're just looking to rebuild right now, and it's starting to come together here at the end of the season. Had to work out a couple kinks in the beginning, but looking good so far. Snuck that double pike around for a nice landing.
Definitely. And here up last for pommel horse, we've got Koi Young, 2024 Olympic alternate, a world silver medalist on this event. So this is something that you're going to want to see. Definitely going to be challenging Aiden Lee for that top pommel horse spot today.
Yeah, good to see Koi back in the lineups after dealing with a knee injury.
Yep.
Good save there. Yeah.
That was a fight to stay on there, but that's even the best in the world have those troubles, but he was able to make it work. And similar to Aiden's routine, you'll see that high extension in the hips, well above each pommel. A little pikey there at the end, but making it work. It's got a fight here. And he survives that one. Probably was hoping to be a little bit cleaner, but nonetheless stays on and gets the crowd, super excited. So solid finish there for the Cardinal.
Yeah, one thing about that routine that I really like is just how much variety he's showing, and also just how much difficulty there is. He's really trying to make it known to everyone around the world that he's there to contend.
Yeah, and he's right up there, I think, at Olympic trials last year. He was really hoping to get that spot, especially for pommel horse. It had a little bit rough of a go at the competition, but he's right up there with the best of the best, not only in the US but the world. And so he's got a couple years before LA 28 to really refine things on this event, but I'm more than confident that he's going to get there.
Yep. And just shout out to the Cal floor lineup. I believe that is a season high for them. Just really great routines from that lineup and good landings. Couple hops, not too many sticks, but minimized a lot of things.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, a 54 on horse with, the 4-up 4-count format this year, 54 is going to do really well. And so looks like Cal's starting to really start to peak at the right time of season. It looks like the final score for Koi came in at a 13-3, giving the Stanford Cardinal a total of 52-5 on horse. So probably not their best run, a little bit muscly for all the guys, a couple falls here and there, and not what you want to see at this point of the season, but there are a couple more weeks before postseason. And so it looks like after two events, the Golden Bears took the lead with a 105.75 compared to Stanford's 104.6. And so it looks pretty neck and neck so far. I think the difference being, a couple landings on floor and, Cal generally able to stay on the equipment.
Yeah, and then looking forward to the third rotation, we're going to see Cal over on vault and Stanford on rings. One thing to note about Cal's lineup is they're missing Jasper Smith-Gordon, a senior on the team, who has really brought a lot of high scores to that lineup. It looks like Sam Circleone, or Circleone, I'm not entirely sure how to pronounce that one, is stepping in for Jasper. So hope to see a good vault from him and keep that momentum going for this team.
Yeah, I think vault could potentially be Cal's top scoring event at NCAAs this year. I think a couple meets ago they had like 3 out of 4 or 4 out of 4 sticks on the event, and that's pretty unheard of on the high impact, high flying event such as vault. And so, it seems like these guys are really honing in on their sticks, especially doing those more difficult vaults like the Cos 1.5. And the handspring double front. And so I think this could be a real area of strength for them in this event. And on rings, I think this is potentially one of the stronger events for Stanford as well. It's highlighted by Mark Berlaga and Asher Hong, 2 guys that have textbook level strength. It's their Maltese position, their straight planche, and their invert crosses are something to look for. It's going to be hard to find better strength positioning than those 2, and so 2 routines to watch out for, but hopefully looking for Stanford to make a little bit of a comeback and keep Cal on their toes.
Yeah, I think it's interesting, Matt. You guys typically try to end on rings at the NCAA championship. What has been the motivation behind that? Is that just because the first one you guys won, 5 years ago? Was that just kind of a superstition thing now?
Yeah, so I think there's a little bit of superstition involved, but I think mostly the reasoning behind Stanford. They're typically a strong vault team, so right off the bat they want to potentially get a couple sticks at NCAAs and get the ball rolling. And then rings is one of those events that you really have to go all out energy-wise. You're using 100% of your body and trying to be as strong as you possibly can. And so ending the meet on a strength like that is something that we're looking for. And also, Stanford has typically had some solid sticks on rings as well. And when you stick at NCAAs, ending the meet, that's going to be super important. And so first up, we've got Colt Walker here on rings. Has really improved. This was one of his weaker events coming into Stanford, but has become a lot stronger, a lot straighter on those straight planche positions, and has a solid cross as well.
Yeah, really good to see him doing well this year. I know he dealt with a pretty tough back injury for a long time there. So
yeah,
nice dismount to finish.
Yeah, solid dismount there from the 5th year. Brings that veteran presence as well, being a national team member, world team member, and has plenty of All-American awards as well.
We've got Sam here, starting off the Golden Bears on vault. A nicely done cause full. Looked like he was very clean on the entrance and in the air, and then just a small hop forward on the landing. Good way to start off.
Yeah, that's a great start. So the cause full, not the most difficult vault you'll see in the NCAA, but he did that very cleanly. And having a cause full, he's typically going to start 0.4 of a point lower than somebody doing the cause 1.5. And so that just means you have to really fight for that stick and be that much more clean. But that's exactly what he did, and a solid start for vault for the Cal Bears.
Yeah, it looks like his score is already back in at a 13.55. So from a 14.4 start value, that's a solid score. And then Colt's score just came back at a 13.75. So really clean routine on rings with a 9.05 execution. Now we're looking at Taylor Burkhart. He also has improved greatly on this event. You don't typically see him in the rings lineup, but making his presence known here.
Yeah, he's definitely turned this event into one of his strengths. He's really solid on his swinging elements. Also has improved his cross work as well, and his dismount is very solid. typically ending with a tucked double-double, and his stick percentage is definitely on the higher end, so hopefully he's getting that stick here tonight. Picking up a little swing there, so he's going to get, 1 to 2 tenth deductions. And there's the stick. Yep, that's his bread and butter there. He can see the landing so well because he gets so much air time and does a very fast twist. And so he has that time to find the landing and drop in for the stick, which is exactly what he did. So that should score well for Stanford.
Yep. And then now we're on to Carter Kim here on vault. A couple weeks ago at Cal Senior Night, Carter started one of the greatest stick trains on vault that I think I've ever seen. No stick today, but that vault has come a long way, and it's good to see him doing it week after week, putting it on his feet.
Yeah, and a lot like his floor routine, he stayed very clean in the air on the twist. And so while he didn't have the best landing that he's ever had, he's going to get some of that back on the twist. So that should still score pretty well. And here on rings, this is potentially a routine of the night as well. Asher Hong, he's incredible on this event. He's got the perfect body type for it. A little on the shorter side. He's got a lot of strength combined with very clean swing, and his dismount is one of the most difficult in the world, doing laid out double, so 2 layout and 2 twist, and he's been known to stick it a couple times as well too. So hopefully looking for a high score here tonight.
Yeah, I think this code has been really good for solid ring guys like Asher because their strength skills, they can try to put a little bit more emphasis and difficulty in without having to worry about being too tired out for their dismounts.
Exactly, and he goes right into that upright straight planche, lowered into the Maltese, and that's about as good of a Maltese as you're going to see. Very flat in between the rings, right back into the Maltese.
Yeah, you could sit right next to him and eat a meal off of his back.
Exactly. He picked up a little swing here, so he's going to have to time his bail correctly if he wants to land this dismount. Does so very well, just a little pike down and a hop back, but overall a really solid routine, and getting him back on track after a couple mishaps on the first 2 events.
Let's see if Collin can bring Cal back here on vault after a little bit of a rough landing from Carter. Nicely done, 2.5. Just a little hop out of bounds. He'll incur an extra 1/10 deduction for that, but kept one of his feet in.
Yeah,
so avoided the
well.
3/10. Yeah.
Cal still holding on to that lead after a couple of competitors. Still got 1 more on rings, and I believe 1 more on vault.
Yep. Yeah, and Mark Berlaga here, he does some impossible strength skills in the beginning. One of them being an Azarian to straight planche, which is just crazy. You have to actually push through a Maltese to a planche to get there.
Yeah, there are not too many guys out there doing that. That's some, you'll see that kind of strength at World Championship ring finals as well as the Olympic finals on rings. So to see somebody doing this in the NCAA is really intriguing, and he does it super well. Mark being one of those seniors graduating after this year, he's actually from the Bay Area. He did the Stanford boys club team growing up, and so he's pretty familiar with the Stanford system, and he's been a staple in the rings lineup all 4 of his years here, starting freshman year. And there's that Azarian to straight planche, which incredible, right into the Azarian Maltese. Very well done.
Yeah, he looks almost aggressive going into those strength skills, which is a unique look. Usually guys want to look smooth, but I think it works for him, just going for it.
Yeah, he really takes the approach of trying to attack the event. Him being a rink specialist, like I said, you got to be the best on the team if you're only going to do one event, and he's right up there, going right into the handstand there, gearing up for his dismount, doing an upright straight plunge near the end of his routine. Incredibly difficult.
Faked you out on that one.
And just misses the stick there with the double layout.
Yeah, I really wanted that one. He was fighting for it. Sometimes that fight is worth the little extra deduction here and there.
It really is.
Coming up with Theo here. He should be doing a handspring double front, which is a newer vault for him. Just displaying that power that he's got.
Wow.
Massive.
Well done. That's a great way to finish the vault run there for Cal. A handspring double front takes a lot of power. You're doing an extra front flip compared to a lot of those cause vaults where it's only doing one flip. Theo's doing two there, and so obviously very difficult, and he was able to find the landing very well.
Yeah, that's one of those vaults where you're either going to land it or you're going to be on your butt. Yep. And there's no in between. It's just really hard to control.
So it looks like Stanford's ring scores have all come in to win on Theo's vault there. Stanford led by Asher's 14.05. A little bit lower compared to some previous meets generally, but staying consistent. Rings is one of those events where you can really get things back on track. It's other than the dismount, it's relatively easier to stay on the equipment, but scoring a 55.25 there, bringing their total at 159.85, just behind the Cal Bears at 160.
And then looking forward to rotation 4. We've got Cal over on rings. Starting off is actually freshman Troy Nuesca, which is interesting because one of the more staple members of the rings lineup, Jackson Mitchell, will not be competing tonight. Maybe he's looking to conserve some energy or working on his little injuries here and there in the end of the season. So getting some rest for him and putting up a new freshman. So looking forward to seeing Troy up on rings.
Yeah, I'd be very surprised if I didn't see Jackson in the lineup come NCAAs. He really has been a staple for your guys' lineup. Super difficult strength, and he really finds that dismount sticking pretty often. So, hopefully the younger guys can step up tonight, but don't be surprised if that lineup's a little bit different in April.
Yeah. Something else to look out for too is Colt Walker in vault. That's something you don't see every day. He hasn't done too much floor and vault since his back injury, and looks like he's trying to work back into it this year.
Yeah, definitely. Colt is, probably hasn't been seen too much on floor and vault given those injuries, but nonetheless, he's a fantastic vaulter. Typically doing a cause 1.5. We'll see what he does tonight. He's very clean in the air, really drops into that landing, and so hopefully looking to make an impact in one of his first meets on vault. But I think the highlight of this vault rotation is going to be Asher Hong. We'll see what he competes tonight, but he's very capable of competing what is called a Risei Guang, which is a double flipping Sukahara vault with a full twist, and it is the hardest vault in the world. You'll only see Asher doing it in the NCAA, and that's a vault that I would be surprised if more than 15 or 20 people could do in the entire world. And so hopefully we'll get to see that tonight, but starts from a very high score in terms of difficulty, and one of the most difficult things you'll see tonight.
Yeah, and I think just one of the most impressive things about Asher doing that vault is he's done it for so long and he does so many numbers of it too. Most guys will conserve themselves. They won't do it in the warm up, or they'll only do timers, maybe put one rep in, but Asher will put several repetitions of the hardest vault in the world down onto hard landing.
Yeah, it's insane.
Time and time again.
Not only does he, do the vault week in and week out at competitions, he's doing it in practice just about every day. And so super taxing on the body. I personally have not seen too many other guys be able to do it at that volume.
Yeah. Looking now at Troy, freshman over on rings. Looks like he's going for an uprise lower cross. A little bit short, a little bit high on that position, but he is filling in for Jackson, so looking to just keep a clean routine and put the dismount down to his feet. Nice press from him into a Yamawaki and front giant. Nice swinging skills from him. Gearing up for a dismount. Keeping it clean with a tuck half and half out. Looks like he's happy with that one.
Yeah, that's a great routine, especially coming from someone who isn't always in that rings lineup. Still being able to deliver, and he's gonna put up a respectable score. So exactly what you want of those, next guys being able to step up in place of Jackson.
And here we are with Colt.
Doing that cause 1.5, dropping in with only a small hop. That's a great way to start that vault run, especially for Colt, not being able to compete it too often this year. And so really good to see it there. He's definitely improved over the years as well on his vault.
Yeah, nicely done from him. Looks like he spotted that landing really well. Came out with a 14.15, which is actually the highest vault score of the night so far.
Yeah, that was really solid. And, you might notice compared to last year, some of these vault scores are typically a little bit lower, and that's because for this new code of points, all of the vaults have been downgraded by 4/10. So the vault that Colt just did, last year it started at 15.2. This year it's only going to be starting at a 14.8. So to really break that 14.0 low, like being in that low 14 to mid 14 range, is going to be a solid score in this year's code. And if you're looking at mid to upper 14s, then that's probably going to contend for an NCAA title.
Yeah, it is an interesting time just adjusting, figuring out the scoring. Now we're looking at Carter here in his, I believe, third appearance on rings this year. He originally didn't come into Cal with too much strength at all, but he's really putting a lot of work in the weight room and in the gym, just grinding out some ring strength over the last 2 years, and it's paying off for him. Nice swinging skills coming up. Good press here. Looking like he'll be gearing up for a dismount, I believe, double-double. Small hop on the landing, but great routine from him. He's really cleaned that up.
Yeah, Cal just keeps putting up routine after routine, one hit after another, and so they're really gaining momentum here. A solid rings run so far. And looking to build on some momentum on vault, we've got Taylor Burkhart doing a pretty unique vault. Won't see too many of these as well. And right to a stick. There you go, Tay.
Yeah.
So, yeah, he does that interesting round-off entry with a half twist onto the table, which upgrades each vault by 2/10. And so did that half-on entry with 2 front twists into the stick there. So that's going to score very well for Taylor and the Stanford Cardinal.
Yeah, his sticking ability is so impressive. You just see, I think there was one meet might have been last meet, where he stuck every dismount, I think, including vault, which is incredible. He's just got cat-like senses, finds his feet and stays.
Yep, his air awareness and his ability to twist very quickly in the air to have as much time as possible to spot that landing is really what helps. And I know that he puts in a lot of work in the gym on getting those sticks, because when you get to a level like NCAA or even the international level, which is what Taylor's trying to do, sticks are going to be the difference. You can have a super difficult routine, execute it pretty well, but if you don't get that stick, it's going to be tough to win the event.
Absolutely. And now we're looking over at Theo, speaking of a little bit of international experience here. He goes straight into a nice straight planche and does a unique straight body press. Has a little bit of difficulty. Some nice swinging. Picked up a little bit of swing there, so he'll be looking to kill that here. Didn't quite do it, but gearing up for his dismount. An upgraded double layout. Wow. That's the first time I've seen him do that.
That was very impressive. That was the same as Asher's dismount on rings. Theo did it super well. Haven't seen him do that before, so looks like he's really pushing that difficulty, at the end of the season, and so that was super impressive. And speaking of impressive, we got Asher here. Oh, looks like he's only going with the cause 1.5 today. And I say only as if it was, super basic, but by no means was that a basic vault. Drops into the landing, was looking for that stick, but just couldn't quite get it. Nonetheless, that's going to score super well, but, he's probably saving a little bit of juice for the last 2 meets of the year after this, the ones that matter. And so don't be surprised if he pulls out that Risei Kwong in a couple weeks.
Yeah, I'm sure he'll do it. I think he did it one time this year. So we'll see it from him again.
Yeah, and I don't think I've seen too many guys be able to stick that vault nonetheless. I've seen him stick it every once in a while. I'm not sure if he's done it in an NCAA meet, but being capable of not only doing that vault but dropping into the landing and sticking it is absolutely insane.
Yeah. And finishing out the lineup is Tomohiro. He is a 5th-year addition. Formerly was on the Ohio State team, where he was a ring specialist, and I think he did floor as well there. So he's been a good addition to the Cal team, bringing his strength. Nice Maltese position. Unique Hanma to Maltese. Don't see that one every day. And lower into a well-executed cross.
Yeah, you don't see too many guys, transferring in the sport of gymnastics. You see a lot of that in basketball or football, those NIL sports, looking for those NIL contracts. So it's interesting to see. Oh, he's got the stick there.
Looks like he peeled a little bit.
Like a blind squirrel finding a nut. He was able to make
there
it work.
He goes.
Wow, good for him. He's able to turn a potential disaster into a stuck dismount. So good for Tomo there.
Yeah. And I think, we're looking here at Cooper Kim. Does a Yurchenko style vault. Very clean.
And there's the stick. Nice shot, Cooper. That's exactly what you want out of that last guy. Huge momentum builder there. And, with that round-off entry, the Yurchenko off the table, that typically is going to score a little bit better because it's often cleaner in the air, which, was pretty evident in Cooper's vault. He had those legs glued together. It's a little bit easier to keep form when you're going off of the table backwards compared to sideways, and so very clean in the air, solid entry, and he got that stick. So looking to potentially have the top score of the night there, and I believe he does with a 14-4.
Yeah 14-4 for him. I mean, that's a an insane execution score, getting only 4/10 off, or I guess maybe 5/10 with the extra tenth for the stick. But nonetheless, very impressive. Back to Tomo, though. Something interesting about him is that his older brother was on the Cal team and currently lives in the Bay Area. I believe Tomo is living with his brother and then training and doing school at Cal. So it was, I guess, an easier transition for him coming from Ohio State back to the Bay Area.
Still waiting on Tomo's score. But yeah, with all of Stanford's scores in, they're looking at a 216.65. Really brought it back on vaults. We had 2 sticks, which, having just 1 stick on vault is a success, but getting multiple is big for the momentum. Not to mention these guys are doing difficult vaults and still being able to stick it. And it looks like Tomo's score just came in at a 12.8, giving Cal 51.2 on the event. Looking at a 211.2. So Stanford retook the lead, but Cal is not that far behind, and I'm excited to see what's going to happen these next 2 events.
Speaking of the next few events, it looks like Cal is up next on high bar, I believe, and Stanford will be over on parallel bars. One routine that everyone should be on the lookout for from Stanford on parallel bars is definitely Brandon Nguyen. He's been having a real standout year on P bars and has been super consistent with a really high difficulty routine. And then from Cal over on high bar, I would say Landon Wu. He does some really clean in-bar work and just overall high quality gymnastics.
Yeah, definitely. On high bar, it's really hard to stack that difficulty and maintain a clean line. And so oftentimes a lot of guys on high bar will maybe reduce their difficulty a little bit in order to stay super clean and eliminate any deductions. And Landon does a really solid job of that. So hopefully should be a crowd pleaser tonight. But you may have noticed for this event, Stanford is putting up 6 gymnasts instead of 4. The reason being is those last 2 gymnasts are going to be exhibitioning, so their scores won't count towards the team score. And so for instance, Asher Hong is going to be he's going to be competing in the all-around spot, so it'll count towards his all-around, but not towards the team score, which is still allowed at the NCAA level. And then that 6th gymnast, I believe it was Ian Lasik, not in the lineup, but doing an exhibition as one of those seniors. I know at Stanford, our coach Tom Galimi, he's willing to have those seniors compete in exhibition on senior night, just for one last time in Burnham before they graduate.
Yeah, I think there's a special exception for senior nights where they are able to have that additional exhibition spot.
And even though Ian is going to be exhibitioning on parallel bars tonight, I wouldn't be surprised if he cracks that lineup in NCAAs. I know he's got a really stacked routine, and so I would guess that it probably came down to a small margin of error in that inner squad earlier this week when Stanford was deciding its lineups. But his score might not be counting tonight, but don't be surprised if it counts in a couple weeks. He's really looking to still make that impact on the event.
Yeah, I think something that's just unique to point out with gymnastics teams, whether it's men's or women's, is the people that you don't see compete in the meet, and just understanding how much hard work they put in and day out to even just crack into that lineup. It's constant competition in NCAA gymnastics, and it really is what pushes athletes to the next level when they get to this stage.
Yeah, something that we would always talk about at Stanford is the team is only as good as its 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th guy, because those are the ones that are pushing those guys that are in the lineup and really making sure that they don't get complacent. But, someone that has been a staple in this lineup is the guy you're looking at right now, Brandon Wynn. He's got a super stacked routine with the great peach work at the beginning, right into that front uprise 1 3/4 flip. He's been not only, consistent, but he's been doing very difficult routines. And let's see if he can find this landing. Small hop forward, but that's a great routine from the captain. Brandon, one of those veterans, has done a solid job leading this team the last couple of years as captain, and his gymnastics shows. A lot of those younger guys are looking at him like, we need to be that much better because our captain is hitting routine after routine.
Yeah, really great leader, and just really cool construction to that routine too. So efficient. Now we're moving over to high bar with Tucker Yasunaga. He's worked in and out of this lineup. Last year he dealt with a torn rotator cuff, I believe, or torn labrum on one of his shoulders that he sustained. So high bar's been an event that he had to work hard to come back on and do releases just like that one. So good on him. Doing a little free hip for the in bar. One arm giant. Big flying giant. Very nice dismount. Just a little hop back, but I'll be happy with that routine. Good start for them.
Yeah, that's a great routine, especially coming off a shoulder injury like that. High bar is pretty rough on the shoulders, so good to see him really improve and take those steps forward and still be confident in his gymnastics even after an injury like that.
Yeah, definitely. Those Tkachevs are not light on the body.
Definitely not.
Especially the shoulders, yeah.
Got all-arounder Taylor Burkhart up next on parallel bars, looking to build off that momentum from Brandon's routine. I believe Brandon scored a 14.2, so going to be tough to beat, but Taylor's got the difficulty on this event to put up a score like that, so let's see if he hits. And a nice start there with the Hamna, the handstand. Oh, and he's...
Oh, is he going to save it?
Improvising a little bit there. So he was supposed to do a Makut's there, so he's supposed to go back into the bar. He went a little bit too far and was actually able to improvise, completely doing a new skill so that he avoids that 1 point deduction. And so you're only going to see that out of a gymnast that has done that once or twice and has that experience. And Taylor does, being one of the seniors on the team, handling it exactly like he should, was able to recover. So we'll see what the judges do with that. But a really innovative and solid way to continue the routine. And he gets a great landing there. Way to work with that, Taylor.
Yeah, that was a wild save. And over to Landon Wu, senior on the Cal team. Another guy, actually, with a history of a shoulder surgery. So good to see him back on high bar. Really his standout event through the years. Winding up for a nice looking half tuck. A little bit over on the angle, but well done. Beautifully done to Tkachev. And here's those in-bar skills I was talking about. I don't know how he gets his legs so deep in those in-bar stalders. Nicely done. Layout half and half out. Well done routine. Not a lot of deduction to take in that routine. Little update on the scores as well. We've got a big 14.2 from Brandon Wynn. That is a big score from him. And then we've got a 12.45 from Tucker over on high bar.
Yeah, and typically you'll see a little bit lower scores on high bar. Like I said, it's difficult to build that, that strong start value. Parallel bars a little bit easier just because there's so much variety and there's so many, you can build your difficulty through peaches, front uprises, giants, top bar work. So you do have a lot of options there. So that's typically why you'll see parallel bar scores tend to score a little bit higher than high bar. But on parallel bars, we've got Jeremy Bischoff here, one of the 5th-year veterans. Starting with a lofty Hamna to handstand. And there's that Makut's. A little bit of struggle there. That was the skill that Taylor was able to improvise on. Jeremy was able to make it work, but he's going to take a pretty big deduction on that swing up to handstand. And right into that front uprise. Love that combo. Was able to flow very well. He's gearing up for this dismount. Almost got the stick there. I know he's capable of sticking that pretty often, so looking to hone in on that in the next couple weeks. But overall, solid routine, a couple small mistakes, but able to work with it. And you're only going to be able to hit that with the experience that Jeremy has.
Yeah, that's a very nice dismount, a double front half, but done a little bit more uniquely. And then now we're up on high bar with Tyler. Does that full talk a little bit over and then into the half talk. He's really been trying to push the difficulty on high bar, which Cal really needs this year. Guys are doing clean routines, but there's not too many guys pushing the difficulty level. So good to see Tyler putting the work in. Well done, dismount. Gets the stick. Should be happy with that one.
There you go. That's a great routine there.
Yeah, tosses him the green shirt. That shirt is a tradition on Cal. We bring it everywhere with us. And if you stick a landing, you get the shirt. But man, do you not want to put that shirt on? That thing does not smell good.
Just there for the good mojo.
Yeah, that I don't think anybody washes it, so carries all the good luck with it.
Yeah, exactly. Got Cole Walker on parallel bars. This is probably his best event. Won Winter Cup this past year on the event, I believe. With that huge giant Makut's, extremely difficult to stay on that one hand and maintain balance in the handstand, but makes it look very, very easy.
Yeah, he just floats that bobsar every time.
Yeah, his height on those skills such as the bobsar really stand out and really make it hard for those judges to take a lot of deduction. And just a small hop in place. I don't think he'll get the stick for that, but that was a really solid routine. And you expected nothing less from the All-American and the veteran.
Yeah, Colt's always had a great look on those underbar skills. He makes it kind of look like he's swinging on high bar. It just looks so smooth and easy for him. All right, here we are with Carter Kim. Hoping for a good performance from him. Nicely done. Talk half. Gearing up for some release skills. Floats that to Kachev nicely. A little bit of fingertips, but holds on. That one looked a little more in control. Nicely done, Kwas to a flying giant. Gearing up for a big dismount. Wow. Nice double stick.
Nice job,
Huge
Carter.
for him. Yeah. Great way to finish that lineup. 2 sticks.
Yeah, and Carter's did a little bit more of a difficult, not only routine, but dismount there. And, that's going to score really well. Cal going 4 for 4 on high bar. If you are going to be doing those, routines that don't have as much difficulty, as long as you're staying on and staying clean, which is exactly what they did, you're still going to be in the hunt. So glad to see that work out for the Bears. And Colt's score just came in with a 14.05, just below Brandon's 14.2, but really similar. score and solid execution from both of those fifth years. But here we've got Asher competing in the all-around spot. So again, this won't count towards the team score, just his individual all-around. Making that Makut's work. He was a little bit off in the handstand, but handled it exactly how you're supposed to.
Yeah, this Stanford lineup is pretty stacked in terms of difficulty on P-bars. They're definitely not lacking. I think Asher made world finals on parallel bars. I don't know. Is that correct, Matt?
I don't know if he made world. He definitely competed on parallel bars at world championships and the Olympics. So he's got plenty of experience, and to him, for him not being able to crack that lineup at Stanford just shows truly how difficult it is. You really got to be the top four, and sometimes it's a matter of half a tenth, 1/10 differences, which was most likely the case. But again, very much like Ian Lasik, I wouldn't be surprised if Asher made that lineup at NCAA championships. It's really, a toss-up for that parallel bar lineup. It's going to come down to who's peaking at the right time.
Yeah, and that's something to note for the audience, is the way that a gymnastics season flows is, it ebbs and flows really, but in terms of being an athlete in the NCAA, the amount of numbers that these guys put in and day out takes a toll on the body, and doing it for 4 months straight, it has its challenges, and it can be hard to manage. So coaches and athletic trainers, they play a big role in managing who competes every weekend and how things go training wise to help preserve the athletes for the postseason where they really want to peak.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Stanford's team, I can speak from experience, would not be anything near where it is today if it weren't for our athletic trainer, Austin Naylor. She's done a fantastic job keeping everybody as healthy as possible, including Ian Lasik here on parallel bars. He's gone through his fair share of injuries, a couple pretty brutal knee injuries, and to see him back and at this level of gymnastics is really, really impressive. And gets a solid landing there. A great performance for the senior on what is probably going to be his last time competing that event at Burnham.
Yeah, well done routine. Shout out to Sydney over on Cal's athletic training staff. Also, just shout out to all the athletic trainers out there. It's athletic training month, I believe, or day was recently. So we love you guys, and you really make us the athletes that we want to be and can be.
Definitely. There's a lot of support staff for any NCAA program. A lot goes into it behind the scenes to really make these athletes have the best experience, not only on the competition floor, but with classes, with internships, everything behind the scenes. So doing a lot of work, and very appreciative to have that experience for any NCAA athlete. And it looks like Ian's score came in at a 13.75. Really solid for him. Unfortunately, that it won't count. Definitely, based on the other scores, it would have positively impacted Stanford's team score, but sometimes that's just the way it works. Is it's hard to you don't get in that lineup when you're going for that spot, and then you're still able to put up a solid score. So I think that shows a little bit the depth of Stanford's team, especially on parallel bars. But hoping to get a little bit higher. I think at least for Taylor's score, Jeremy's score as well. Nonetheless, this parallel bar squad should remain quite competitive for the rest of the season.
Yeah, looking at the team scores here, we got Stanford in with a 271.05, with Cal trailing at a 262.05. But shout out to the Cal guys. As long as parallel bars goes all right, it looks like they're on track for a season high here. So that'll be a good boost for them with their 4-score national qualifying average.
Yeah, that's, the Cowberries have had a really solid competition. I think had a couple, mistakes at the beginning on pommel horse. But since then, I mean, they've really pulled it together. They've gone, several events without any major mistakes. And so really good to see them peaking at that right moment. And I think they're going to be a contender for that day 2 spot at NCAA championships. Because at NCAAs, it's a 2-day competition, and that second day is reserved for the top 6 scores from the previous day. And I think, Cal coming off a really fantastic showing at last year's NCAAs, are hoping to really build on that momentum, and I think they have a real shot at getting that day 2 spot. So hopefully it works out, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, at Cal, we are always in the hunt for day 2. That's always on our mind and keeping the guys motivated. I keep referring to the team as if I'm on it still, but yeah. But looking forward to Cal's P-bar lineup. The last 2 guys, Tyler and Theo, both those guys have really boosted their difficulty in this code and are really contenders, I think, for an All-American spot on parallel bars, both of them being very clean and generally consistent.
Yeah, P-Bars is going to be another one of those events where, the NCAA champion and the 10th place spot are probably going to have only like a couple 10th difference in their final scores. And, similar to floor where the difference is going to be sticking those passes, I think a big difference between first, second, third place on parallel bars is going to be those hand movements. So when the gymnast is in the handstand position, or when they're finishing a skill in the handstand, they're not supposed to move their hands. Each hand movement is a 1/10 deduction, and so you really want to eliminate. And once you put that hand down to finish your skill, it has to stick there like glue. And so I think that's going to be the difference. And hopefully Cal has been working on that and looking to have a strong P-bar run here.
Yeah, looking here at Roy Nuesca, who we saw earlier on rings. Looks like he's breaking into this parallel bar lineup, doing some nice underbar, then also upper bar skills here. Just really keeping it clean and consistent. Just missed the dismount there. Looks like he opened up a little early, might have buckled a little on his arm, but he'll want that one back.
Yeah, he was looking for that stick there. I mean, an otherwise really solid routine, so does incur the 1-point deduction on the dismount, but I wouldn't be surprised if he still comes up with a pretty solid score even with that big deduction. And the rest of it looked really solid. And here we've got Colt leading off another event here on high bar, starting with that Zuli Min, one of my personal favorite skills. I think it looks very aesthetically pleasing. Right into that talk half, and you see how he hit that handstand, so that's going to get no deduction. That's exactly how you're supposed to do it. Followed by a high release move here, right into the Kovacs, done very well. Layout to Kachev. This is a very difficult routine that he's got going. He's doing it super well. Another to Kachev, right into that one arm, gearing up for the dismount. And a little hop back, but a really good routine from Colt in that leadoff spot. He's got a super difficult laid out double-double dismount. A lot of difficulty there in the release moves, as well as that one arm. So that should score well, and exactly what Stanford needed in its leadoff man.
Yeah, nicely done from Colt. A little low on Troy's score, in my opinion, at an 11.9, but nonetheless, we're over here at looking at Tucker.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that should have been at least in the 12s.
Yeah, but that skill that you just saw him do was the one that he dislocated his finger on, so good to see him putting it up in the routine today safely. A little squirrely on some upper bar skills, but reeling it in. Are they going to give him the stick?
Ooh.
They gave it to him. They gave it
looks
to
like
him.
he got the stick. There you go.
All right.
He was really fighting for that one, but glad to see that effort paid off.
Yeah, that takes a lot of guts to do parallel bars after a pretty scary finger injury like that so soon after it happens. But just displaying the mental strength and grit that he's got.
Yeah, and he did it well, not to mention. So glad to hear he's back and getting after it. And here we've got Jeremy Bischoff on the high bar, a little bit past the handstand on both of those talks, right into the Ginger, which is one of those skills that in the last code you may not have seen too much, but I believe it was upgraded for this code. So definitely making that skill worth it, and Jeremy's taking advantage. Right into that Coleman, done very well. It's a Kachev sequence, a sequence Jeremy's been doing for a while, so he's got some experience there. Right into the dismount, you don't see that too often, but a solid routine from Jeremy. Should put up another really good score for Stanford.
Yeah, lots of difficulty in that routine. Just connecting releases with the talk and then again with the two Tkachevs. Really helps him to pack a lot in a quick and efficient manner. Looking over at Tyler here. Hope to see his upgraded difficulty. I believe he added a very nice peach hat. That's also new for him with the Hanma. Little got it around. All right. A little shaky there in the beginning. A new dismount for him with the double front. Good save. Wow.
Yeah, made it through. That's an action-packed routine. That was similar to Brandon Wynn's of Stanford. I think their difficulty should be neck and neck. I think once he tweaks it a little bit, works out some smaller deductions, then that's going to be right up there for a potential All-American spot. That was a really, really good routine from Tyler. And speaking of Brandon Wynn, we've got him up here for his final routine in Burnham Pavilion as one of those fifth years. Him, Colton, Jeremy got that extra year of eligibility for COVID, and all three decided to utilize it. So they'll be competing their final events here. Not of the season, hopefully, but just at home. And backdoors that talk half. So that skill was supposed to end going the opposite direction, so that'll incur a 5/10 deduction, but Brandon able to work with it, doing that cow hop. And he goes right into a casino, which is probably the most difficult release move in the NCAA. Right into the Coleman as well. And you'll see Brandon,
Yeah, really just showing his...
Yeah, he's getting a lot of airtime. A lot of that is from his body type. Finishing with almost a stick, but nonetheless, a really good routine and a good finish for him on today's competition. But as I was saying, you'll see his body type. He's one of the larger gymnasts, and so he's able to bend that bar a lot more, giving him that ability to get higher on those releases, which is why he really stacked his routine with some difficult releases.
Looking over now at Theo on P-bars. Looks like he took out one of his typical skills, starting with an easier mount. Usually starts with a peach half, but not today. Nicely done to pelt right into Healy. Gearing up for a big straddle 1 1/4. Another efficient, clean routine. Nice way to finish the meet for him and the Cal Bears.
Yeah, that should score well. I mean, I think Cal did a really great job across the board and really had a strong finish on parallel bars. So should have a solid team score. Hopefully looking at that, 312, potentially 313 range. But still got to wait on Theo's final score.
Yeah, I might have jumped the gun and with getting my hopes up for them breaking their season high today, but still going to be a solid score for them.
Yeah, it'll still be close. And we've got Stanford's final competitor that will be counting towards the team scores, Ian Lasik, one of those seniors, hoping to finish strong in Burnham with a really solid start in those talks. Going right into the Coleman, done very well. And Ian, another one of those gymnasts that not only a workhorse, but he's got that body type for high bar to really bend it and have those high-flying releases. Going right into a rebalkle, you don't see too many of those. And he gets the stick. Nice job, Ian. Finishing the competition strong for the Cardinal. Another solid score should be for the senior.
Yeah, well done for him. And I think he's capable of adding another one of those high-flying release skills. I've seen him do Casina, I think, in there. So room for him to grow too.
Yeah, he's got a pretty big Casina. I know when I was able to train with him, he was definitely working that. It's one thing on high bar to put in one of those releases. It's another thing to do an entire routine after that release. And Casino is one of those skills where it's gonna take up a good chunk of your energy, and so you still want to you want to have a little bit left in the tank for the rest of your routine. And so oftentimes, a lot of gymnasts, especially on high bar and those more demanding events, they're pretty much competing, I would say probably about 80% of the skills that they can actually do in the practice gym, just so that they can, execute it very well and then also save some energy for the end of the routine.
Absolutely. Yeah, always looking to progress as a gymnast and grow.
Here we've got Asher on high bar. Did the same thing Brandon Wynn did with that backdoor, another 5/10 deduction. So really going to want to clean that up before NCAAs. But comes back pretty strong with that piked Kovacs, a unique element, followed by the Coleman. And unlike Brandon Wynn, Asher's body type for this event is a little bit, I would say, not ideal. Finishes strong there. Probably going to get a fair amount of deduction, but overall good ending to his competition today. He's got a very different body type than Brandon and Ian, where he's a lot shorter, and so by not being able to weigh as much, can't bend that bar, but he still makes it work. He's still got that, Pikes Kovacs, that Coleman, so that's a testament to his talent and his ability to work hard, because it used to be by far his weakest event, but he's made a lot of progress in the last couple of years, and I think he's starting to turn it into one of his strengths. So good to see Asher continue to improve. But I think for this final competitor of the night, Taylor, this score is not going to count, but he's one of those gymnasts where he's most likely going to be in that high bar lineup in a couple weeks. So be on the lookout. He's got one of the most unique routines in the country, stacked with difficulty, and let's see if he can execute it here to finish out the meet strong.
Yeah, in the previous code, it was always interesting to watch his routine. He kind of looked a little more unorthodox, but really paying off here in the new code. Ooh.
Oh. Looks like he had a little bit of an issue.
Yeah. Might have slipped or got lost there.
Yeah, so we'll see if he repeats it, but that attempt was supposed to be a Liukin. So it's a Tkachev in the straight position with a full twist. So you lose sight of that bar when you let go of the bar, making it one of the hardest release moves in the code of points. Taylor typically does it pretty well, so we'll see if he's able to repeat it. Looks like he's playing it a little bit safe, just doing that straight to Kachev. Right into that Piatti, which is a Stalder into a Tkachev connection. Another very difficult skill. Another unique skill there with a front flip with a full twist. A Winkler.
Yeah, it's a funny name, right? Huge triple back.
And that triple back dismount. So probably not the way that he wanted to finish it, but that routine has a ton of potential and still working out a couple kinks there, but that'll be his final routine in Burnham as well, capping off a pretty fantastic career in that gym. He's got a couple more meets this year, looking to finish strong along with the rest of the seniors on both Cal and Stanford in those fifth years. They've been putting in a ton of work this season, and it's going to come down to the wire at NCAA championships in April. And so I, for one, am very excited to see how it plays out with this new 4-up, 4-count format. I think it's going to be really, really tight between some of those top teams and really just across the board. And I think Stanford and Cal still have a lot to prove and a lot left in the tank, but we did see a lot of great gymnastics today. We're still waiting on Taylor's score, but looks like Cal finishing the night with a 313.2. Definitely one of their more solid competitions. I think, the coaches and gymnasts are going to be happy about that performance. And Stanford's team score is finalized, even though Taylor's score is not in, and they finished with a 324.35. So, again, pretty near their season high. I also think there's a lot of room for improvement. I think they're going to have a little bit cleaner of a meet, a few less falls if they want to compete for that top spot and hopefully bring home a 6th straight national title. But overall, fantastic day of gymnastics. And yeah, looking forward to some of the individual results coming up on the screen here in a bit.
Yeah, that was really well said. Moving on to the meet results, we've got Taylor Burkhart with a 14.2 in first place on floor. Second to Carter Kim. Oh, this looks like, Carter Kim with a 13.6. And, I guess it's tied between Carter, Jeremy, and Theo, all with 13.6. So great work from those guys. Looking to see those sticks and scores bump up throughout this season.
Yeah, it looks like we got a tie for the first place position on Pommel Horse between Stanford's Taylor Burkhart and Cal's Aiden Lee. We knew Aiden would be near that top, but really, really cool to see Taylor snag that tie for first. I think a lot of us might have been expecting Coy or maybe Ian Lasik to be up there as well. But that just shows how tight the rankings are going to be, not only in this meet, but at NCAAs. And so it's going to really come down to it. But 13.75 for both of those leaders, followed by a third place finish from Tyler at Cal with a 13.35. So, really neck and neck. But good to see some Stanford Cardinal and Cal Bears both on the podium.
Okay. And then moving on to rings, I think no surprise with this one. Asher in first place, followed by Mark Berlanga. Both those guys putting up outstanding performances, huge strength skills, and just really well done. And then followed up by Colt Walker, who has had quite the journey on rings, but putting it down today.
Yep, and moving on to vault, we see some familiar faces, but at the top, we see freshman Cooper Kim from Stanford. He had that stuck Yuchenko 2.5, and so getting that gold medal with a 14.4, followed by Taylor's stuck vault with a 14.2, and Colt in the third position with a 14.15. So again, another event where it's just a matter of a 10th here and there, and ultimately came down to the sticks.
And then over to P-Bars, we've got Brandon Nguyen, outstanding performances all year from him, so no surprise there. And then Colt Walker, swinging parallel bars like it's high bar. Shout out to him. And then Ian Lasik rounding out the top three. Like you said, probably going to see Ian back in the lineup after this week with his stellar performance today.
And on the horizontal bar, another 1-2-3 Stanford finish, but a couple Cal guys really at the heels of those Stanford guys. So in first, we've got Ian Lasig with a 13-7. Would really hope to see that in the lineup as well. Unless he actually might have been in the lineup. And then second place, Colt Walker. Solid routine there coming back, and followed by fifth year Jeremy Bischoff. So with a 13-2, but overall, really a lot of really great performances on high bar and across the board.
Moving to the all around, looks like we had Taylor and Asher both do all 6 events today. Taylor coming out with the win on his final night competing in Burnham Pavilion with an 80.4, followed by Asher's 77.55. So cool to see those guys doing all around week in and week out, really grinding it out in the gym. Yeah, happy to see them pushing themselves and hope to see progress moving forward.
Yeah, definitely. They've got a few things that they'll need to work on. I think that all-around title at NCAA is probably going to be around the 83, 84 range, and so they've got plenty of work to do in these next couple weeks, but I'm sure they'll get there. And then finally moving into the team score, Stanford was able to edge out Cal today by a couple points here, 324 to 313, but nonetheless, stellar performance from both sides. And I think they gained a lot of momentum moving into these final weeks of the season. I know it can get pretty grueling, those last couple meets on the body and mentally, and so hopefully they're looking to lock down those last few details and come away with a great ending to a successful season for both teams.
Yeah. Good to see the camaraderie still going between the teams. I know it's a tradition to shake each other's hands, give each other high fives, say what's up. Even though we're supposed to be enemies across the bay, I don't feel like that holds true for gymnastics. We're all friends, and we're all hoping for the best for each other. It's such a small community, and so awesome to just be on here commentating, watching good gymnastics, seeing the guys you used to be in the gym with, grinding day in and day out with.
For sure, yeah. It's Stanford and Cal. They may be rivals, but it's all good stuff between the two sides in gymnastics especially. And so shout out to these guys. Shout out to the seniors tonight for their final competition, senior night. I'm excited for what both sides have in store in a couple weeks, and I appreciate the opportunity to commentate here alongside with Collin. It was a lot of fun being able to see some of the best gymnastics in the country, and so excited to see what's in store for the rest of the 2025 season. So appreciate you guys tuning in, and have a fantastic rest of your guys this weekend.
Yeah, great being on here. Thank you to Virtius, and go Bears.
Shout out Virtius for sure. They do a fantastic job.
You want to shake my hand?